record this, and if you can send it to me, that would be awesome.
Okay. Let's start with whatever questions you have.
Okay, so I've been in real estate now for about 6-7 years, and I kind of want to, I have an exit plan. I don't want to do this forever. I always wanted to start like my own company. Like, I run my own business now, in real estate, but I also want a separate company just because a few years back I got a divorce and things kind of fell apart, and I have kind of learned to have a backup plan for things.
Right.
So I feel like this is kind of my backup plan and my plan for long-term retirement, to do an acquisition on the company that I build eventually. So before I went into real estate, I was doing business development and marketing for government contractor. So I'm familiar with government contracts. Of course, my entire family is military. So recently, well, I would say I've been involved with one for the past couple of years. We ended up here in Maryland. He works for NSA. He is Navy, and he's getting ready to retire in the next year. He wants to start a government contracting business as well, but something different than I want to do. I've been paying a lot of attention to kind of the smaller end contracts. What I'm most interested in is like the furniture, like where they go in and they do an entire new office and they remove all the equipment and do all those things. And also the apparel part of it, because I was going through contracts, and it's one of the largest amount of money that's awarded. He's interested in the gun side. He wants to sell guns and ammo to the government because that's his love. That's what he absolutely just has a passion for, that kind of stuff. My questions are kind of more related to not just how to get started, because I want to kind of go through all these different videos that you have and kind of look at the different kind of contracts and how to search and everything, but more related to he's going to be a veteran. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure you went on mute, so I just want to see if you still hear me. He's going to be in the next year a disabled veteran because he's going to retire, and he's also half Mexican, so he has a minority, kind of thing there.
Right.
Me personally, of course, I do a woman-owned business. We are thinking about moving either back to Texas or back to Ohio. I've been looking at the HubZone situations and kind of trying to figure out, is that something we want to commit to, just living and working in a HubZone area and trying to get that kind of check marks for government contracts, or so that's kind of like what the things that I'm thinking and kind of how to move forward. Like, is it better for us to combine a business? I'd like to start mine now, but is it going to be more beneficial to wait until he can come on board too, and then we can get, we kind of check all of the boxes for getting government contracts? I don't know. That's kind of my question.
Well, there's a yes and no to your question. It could go either way. What I mean by that is, first of all, selling weapons and ammo to the government is one of the most complicated tasks because of all the additional requirements and additional registrations and additional things that aren't involved in most typical contracts. Two of the most difficult government contracts to do are weapons and security. And obviously security, if it's armed security, it deals with weapons. So if you're going to broker something, broker anything, sell anything you want to the government, not just limited to one thing. I would suggest, if you guys are going to get into weapons, make that a long-term solution, because it's something you're not going to be able to just jump in and do immediately. With the additional registration, certifications, and stuff that he's going to have to hold to do that.
That's definitely was my concern up front, because we know we have to do the FFO. We know we have to do all of these different things to be able to do the weapons, and that's great, but we need to make money now,
Exactly.
So that's why my portion of the business is really what I strictly really want to broker. I'm not really, I worked also in the logistics industry, so I I would prefer never to own anything, never to stock anything, never to do any of that, just to completely do the logistics side of, one part to another part from, A to C and me be the B.
Absolutely.
I'm okay with that.
Absolutely. I've got clients that they watch my videos or they saw that movie War Dogs, and they'll call up and they'll say, hey, I've been watching your videos and you talk about brokering, or I saw that movie War Dogs. I want to become a broker. How do I do that? It's really not that complicated. It only takes a week or two to do all the registrations and paperwork. You can actually literally start bidding immediately because most bids aren't due for 2 to 3 weeks down the road. And and I have had clients win their first bid. Startup company working out of their home, one-man show, and no set-asides, not a minority, veteran, woman-owned, nothing, and win their very first bid. It's mind-boggling. But if you look at the statistics, it actually makes sense. Let me show you. Oops, can't do that. File size is too big.
So cute. So cute, by the way.
I use, what I'm doing right now is writing a quick article in LinkedIn, and I use what's called clickbait when I write articles. Stuff that when someone sees it, they have to click on it. So they'll click on that just because mom calls me what, and then they'll click on it and they'll actually read it, and it's crazy. I'll get 400 or 500 views off an article a day. And this is all I'm going to teach you how to do, because every little bit of this adds up. I get 3, 4, 5 people a day that reach out to me like you did, wanting to know more information. And that's free clients. I don't have to work for it. They find my videos, they like what they see, and they get in touch with me. And, so I'm going to teach you all that as well. But I have clients that win their first contract. It's mind-boggling. Let me show you. You guys can broker, so you can sell anything, but you can also provide real estate services to the government if you want to dabble, in that, or if you want to get out of it completely, just broker straight up. Here's the reason why.
Michael, go ahead.
In the system for award management, which is the main system that you have to be registered in to do business for the government, there's 1.2 million for-profit vendors in SAM. Actually, I just did another search the other day. I think it was a little less or a little more. This is back from 2015, but it's relatively the same. Out of that 1.2 million vendors, over 900,000 of them are inactive. That only leaves 330,000 active for-profit vendors in SAM. Now, more than half of those are big business. More than half of those are the IBMs and Raytheons of the world. But let's just say, for argument's sake, half are big and half are small. That means there's only 160,000 small businesses that are able to do business with the government. Compared to the fact that there's almost 30 million small businesses in the U.S. that are registered right now, 160,000 is nothing. So there's very little competition in the federal system. And I can guarantee you this. We've done 80,000 SAM registrations. So I can only vouch out of those 160,000 small businesses that half of them are compliant. The other half that's self-certified or hired an attorney or got scammed, they might be active, but that doesn't mean they're compliant for what they're trying to do.
Right.
So in the grand scheme of things, there's very little competition in the federal system, and the government's pushing small businesses right now and minorities and veterans. Hell, Trump just upped it from 23 on the G.S.A. from 23 to 52%. So, to broker contracts right now, it's a no-brainer. If it wasn't so difficult, I'd do it myself if I could. But because I actually get referrals from the government. Matter of fact, I just got one this morning. Purchasing officer right here looking to buy laundry carts. And I get these once or twice, sometimes 3 of them a day, from purchasing agents that can't find laundry carts, and they'll reach out to us and ask us if we could refer them to someone. So because I get referrals from the government, I can't broker contracts myself. I can't start a business and broker because it's a conflict of interest. I've had this conversation with my attorney until we're blue in the face. He says I'd have to quit for 3 years. and not do anything government related whatsoever. Delete all my videos, take all my videos down and delete them, and go deliver pizzas or something for 3 years. Not do anything government related whatsoever, and then I could start a business and I could broker, and it wouldn't be a conflict of interest. Otherwise, I'd be doing it myself, you know. Are you familiar with simplified acquisitions? I talk about them a lot.
Yes, I've only watched one of your videos. It just happened we were sitting in our cigar room. We have a cigar room in our house.
Nice.
Having a cigar, and we were watching YouTube videos, and we're just like, well, we'll just start, you know, we'll just look at what's the government contracting, what it takes to do the bidding process, because we've been talking about this business for months.
Right.
And we started looking up. I was like, this guy is really great. Like, I like the videos. I like how, you know, I can see the website itself, you know, actually going through it. So I only watched, but yes, I did, was familiar with the simplified.
Awesome. Awesome. I don't know. I mean, it's based on relevance. And what the lady with YouTube told me is that it's not necessarily the number of people that watch my videos, because there's people that have much more, many more views than I do, but it's the length of time that they watch the video. And I can show you an example of that. Go to this one and go to the analytics. For a video to be watched on YouTube over 2 minutes, that's really good. An average view time of 2 minutes is really good on the internet, on YouTube. My average view time is 13 minutes.
Wow.
Which is unheard of. And that's why most of my videos come up number one. You know, you search government contracts, and it's number one out of 726,000 results. You know, if you search instructions to offer, which is what the government wants you to, these are just the instructions on how they want you to submit bids, what documents they want you to include, etc. There's only 153 videos under instructions to offer, and I got the first 4 pages solid, all mine. And the reason is because no one's willing to put this content out that I put out for free. My competitors hate me because when it comes to proposal writing, things that they charge $5, $6, $7, and upwards of $10,000 to write a proposal for you, I put that stuff out for free. And they hate it. But it is what it is. You know, when I first started government contracting, I didn't want to put this stuff out because I was afraid my competitors would get it. But eventually I found out they were getting it anyway. They would actually call up and say they were with a fake business and hire me, and then learn all my tricks of my trade, and then go out and use it to you know, take clients from me. Matter of fact.
But the funny thing is, just real estate, you know, they have all the get clients like schemes that you can imagine, but in essence it's all the same things, and it only works if you do it, and most people don't do it.
Yeah. And you know, real estate's that's a very competitive industry. This guy right here sent me an email this morning. He said, a few weeks back you asked us on training calls to tell you when people contact us impersonating you. This guy called him yesterday, said he was with G.S.A. Advantage, which is a lie, because G.S.A. Advantage is they are a private for-profit, but he's basically just lying to people, saying that he's with G.S.A. And he said his name was John Wayne. It's crazy.
That's funny.
I tell people, when you know, if you post something on one of my videos, if you post a comment, don't put your phone number or your email address on my comments on my videos, because my competitors are watching my videos and looking for comments. And as soon as they see one, they'll call you and tell you they're John Wayne and try and steal you from me. It's crazy.
Right. So you feel like the initial stuff that I'm talking about is the way to kind of move forward initially, and then with the smaller contracts, the kind of brokering, and then the gun stuff is a little bit more long term. What's your opinion about the HubZone situation, moving to a HubZone, or what's the...
I wouldn't move to a HubZone immediately, because it takes a couple months to process it. It takes 3 or 4 months to process. Let me show you.
We have some time for that anyway. He quit TCS potentially as early as January, but he can drop paperwork. He can drop paperwork for another 6 months. I'm looking at starting this very soon in the future. So the HubZone is down the road. I assume all of those things can be added later, even if I just started a women-owned business. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
I assume like the HubZone, 8A, all of those different things can be added later, even if I just start as a women-owned business right now.
Yes, and that's what I suggest. Crawl and then walk and then jog and then run.
Right.
The 8A takes a year to process. The HubZone takes 3 or 4 months to process. And the thing about like the HubZone, people attempt to do these registrations on their own and fail. And then a lot of times they'll reach out to me because they failed. If you try and do the HubZone and you're declined or you're decertified, I have to wait 1 whole year before I can do it for you.
Oh, wow.
A lot of these registrations are like that. If you attempt to do it and you fail, they make you wait a certain period before you can redo it. And it's sad, but a lot of people will do that. They'll try and do it on their own and fail, and then they'll call me and say, I saw your videos. I want you to do this for me. I got to wait a whole year to do it now. But
wow.
The HubZone takes 3 or 4 months to process. So moving to a HubZone today, it's not going to do you any benefit whatsoever for another 3 or 4 months. The 8A takes a year to process, and you have to be in business at least 1 year. So if you're talking about a startup, the 8A is not going to help you today either.
Okay.
All right. Have you checked to see if you're in a HubZone?
The HubZone that we're talking about is there's one in Texas that's relatively close to our family there.
Okay.
And then there's also one in Ohio that's close to my family. So I've looked at both of those. They're both blue, completely blue. Those are those because I noticed there's a couple different county situations there where they're kind of shaded different colors. On the it's the light blue, the ones that are definitely in that.
Any colored area, as long as it's not gray, it's a HubZone. And if you're gonna move to a HubZone, you want to move to a big one, because not only does your principal office have to be on the HubZone, but 35% of your employees have to live in a HubZone. So as you grow, as you do more business and you hire employees, it's going to be harder to hire employees that live in a HubZone unless you're in a big HubZone.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
Most of the people that are decertified and kicked out of the HubZone program is because they did not maintain that 35% of the employees residing in the HubZone.
Is that including yourself?
Yes. So if you have no employees, then you're 100% of your employees, then you have to live and work in a HubZone. So if you work out of your home office, you're fine, as long as your home office is in a HubZone.
That's good to know, because the place in Texas we're looking at is not necessarily a place where there's a large volume of people, but Ohio there would be. So that's good to know.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely want to get into a decent size HubZone. Like I've got a client who is in a little HubZone here in Kansas, and he's got employees in all these surrounding counties, and they kicked him out of the program,
Oh, sure. Okay. I think so how do I use your services? Do you guys register us, or do we just go through all the registrations ourselves and then kind of just do a little mentoring with you, or what is that?
We do different levels of service. My suggestion is don't reinvent the wheel. Let us do the registrations for you. We can get them done quickly. We guarantee that they're done properly. The last thing you want to do is invest the time in submitting bids, and then 3 or 4 weeks later you've submitted 15 bids, and 3 or 4 weeks later you start finding out that you didn't win any of them, and then you do a debriefing to request information on why you didn't win them, and you come to find out it's because you had filing mistakes, you had discrepancies in your registrations. That's just frustrating. Right. And then you're going to wind up turning around and coming back and saying, okay, I need you to do them this time, and let's get them done right. That's the reason why There's only 160,000 active businesses, small businesses in SAM right now. And that's the reason why 900,000 of them are inactive. They try and do it on their own and they don't get it done right. And they don't win any contracts. They get frustrated and they deactivate it, or they never became active to begin with.
Right.
Now, my suggestion for you, if you're going to do this, do it right. Get set up for simplified acquisitions, because that's going to allow you to do any type of contract, bid, no bid, sole source, single source, blanket purchase agreement, IDIQ. That's going to allow you to do subcontracts to primes. That's going to allow you to broker. That's going to allow you to bid on contracts as a prime. You won't be limited. And you can actually see those in the federal procurement data system. So right now under real estate, there's 90,000 contracts in the system that were done as simplified acquisitions. This one was done, look, this guy's a DBA. He's not even a real business per se. He's doing business as with the state under his own name, Edmonds, Richard R. And the government's giving him contracts. I want to find one that's over 25,000, because these small purchases, these micro purchases, follow different rules. Most likely these are for inspections.
Better not to go for small ones then?
No, I'm going to teach you to go after everything you can get your hands on. And my suggestion is to attack the system from every angle. Bid on contracts as a prime, go after the small stuff, do subcontract work for primes, do simplified acquisition, do everything. If you're going to do it right. Go for the full boat.
Sure.
Because you can sub all this stuff out. You can do these inspections and pay somebody to do the inspection and make money that way.
Right. Well, the good thing is a lot of times that, depending on the location and everything, I do have a lot of connections that I've made in real estate across the country. So sometimes it is good to have because real estate's all encompassing, right? Like you need everybody, contractors, fixers, like all kinds of different people that you meet. So
here's a contract done as a simplified acquisition. You see that?
Yeah.
Look at how many offers received.
3. Wow.
Now, when I brokered contracts in the late 80s and early 90s, I was happy if there was only 10 to 15 bidders. There's rarely more than 3 bidders in the federal system. And you're going to see probably the next one we look at where there was only 1 offer received. There was no competition. This is for renting a building, a facility space. Now, you ready for this? This is a startup company. They're only claiming $15 in revenues last year. The government gave them a $27 million contract. They were paid $7 million up front.
Wow. So I guess the initial process would be first to set up. Do you have a recommendation on LLC or corporation S corp, like any of those different entities?
I tell
Nothing
people,
looks better.
You do an LLC or an S corp or a C corp for security reasons. You don't want to be liable to be sued. Basically, is the reason why people do it. And in the private industry, you're way more apt to be sued because, especially in the residential arena, everybody's looking to make a quick buck. Spill a coffee in your lap, make $1 million. That's the mentality. So you're way more apt to be sued in the non-government arena. Since I've been here, 2009, I've got almost 4,000 clients. I've never had, nor have I ever heard of, anyone being sued by the government. So my suggestion is you can start out as a DBA. It really doesn't matter. You can get a DBA quicker than an LLC or an S corp. It's cheaper. You can do a DBA on your own for 30, 40 bucks to the state, or you can use LegalZoom or something like that. You can set up an LLC or an S corp. Those typically take a couple of weeks versus a couple of days, and you're probably going to spend a couple hundred. Do I suggest you do an LLC or an S corp or a C corp? Yes, but it's like the HubZone or the 8A. You can use that as a long-term solution. You don't have to do that immediately. If you want to start with a DBA and then win a contract, make some money, and then do the S corp, whatever, or just do it and get it over with. That's my suggestion.
Okay. So starting with the DBA doesn't does it require that I re-register for all of the different things, changing my name with the LLC if it changes, or?
Nope. All you got to do, if you start out as a DBA, when you eventually when you get your LLC or your S corp or whatever set up, you just tell your case manager and they'll update everything for you.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yep. Anytime anything changes. If you guys move to a HubZone, you change your address, change your phone number, add a partner, any changes or modifications, all you have to do is email me and I'll have your case manager do it for you.
Okay, that's probably the best way then. I mean, because that's going to be the cheapest, and I'd like to get started as soon as possible. So,
okay.
You guys have, let's see. So, what's the cost for getting all of everything set up?
Best thing I can do for you. You said your partner is half Hispanic.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
But he's also not out of the military. So I want to make sure that, from what I understand from my contracting officers, I can't bid on anything federal if he's part of the business. Is that correct?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have people that are active military right now, and they do government contracts.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
The only conflict of interest is this. You definitely don't want to do contracts for the agency that he works for or that division of that agency.
So not for NSA.
That's questionable. And really the only thing that's illegal is if, let's say he works with, he knows somebody in purchasing in his division, and he has a business and he gets a contract from that guy that he knows in purchasing. That's technically not illegal. It would only be illegal if he's paying that purchasing agent, if that purchasing agent's getting a kickback, or he takes them to lunch, or he buys them a, whatever, or he gives them something for free, or he sends them on a vacation. It's only illegal if there's a kickback. But if he's doing something for that agency and one of his competitors realizes that he's still active with that agency, the competitor is going to do a bid protest, and then he's going to be investigated. And you don't want to be investigated. So you want to stay away from anything questionable. What I would do is I wouldn't do any business with his agency, or at least his division of that agency for now. And just stay away from having them do any kind of investigation at all.
Okay.
All right. Now, are you a veteran?
No, I am not.
Okay. I'm just gonna say this, and I hope it doesn't come out wrong, but can you trust him?
I was going to ask you the same thing. I'm glad you said that.
Well, only reason why I say that is because I have had clients. I had a client. He put his business of almost 30-year business. He put it in his wife's name because his wife was a veteran and a minority, and she got her 8A, and they moved to a HubZone and everything, and then something happened, and she kicked him out and stole his business.
Well, so I'm not going to let him listen to this recording now that we're I was going to before, but not. So the situation is, number one, we are not married. Number two, he has a baby by someone else. There's some discrepancies about whether or not how much he's going to have to pay in child support, all those things. So I would like to keep his income, all of that, out of the business, to be honest. If he wants to start something else on his own in a separate way later, then that's fine. We will help each other. But the situation is, I want this to really be mine and be, if combining things was really going to help me, significantly, that was maybe maybe an option. But, I've been in the same place where I've had something stolen from me, that I worked really hard for. So I would rather that not happen again.
Sure.
Unless you tell me that that's going to be to my absolute detriment, to not have him on things.
Well, you're talking about a startup
And then
company. So if he did do that, you're not losing a whole lot. And if you're going to broker and he takes off, you can always start another company and continue to broker. Past performance is based on your experience, not necessarily the business. So it's not a major deal. Would it benefit you to have a veteran, especially if he's service disabled and he's a minority on the business? Yes. It's more important than being a woman-owned because of the sheer lack of competition. There's way more women-owned businesses than there are veterans, literally, almost double. There's, I just did this search the other day. I think there was 72,000 women-owned small businesses, and there's only 40,000 veterans. So veterans have half the competition. But have you ever checked to see if you're part minority?
I am part Indian, but I don't know how much requirement is.
That you're a shoo-in. You got it. I'll show you how to find out how much and how to get your tribal card.
That would be great.
Yep. And then you don't need veteran owned because as a Native American, you're guaranteed an 8A. And once you have the 8A, the veteran status is great because there's only 40,000 veterans, but there's only 5,300 8As. And they get the same 5% that everybody else gets.
Okay.
You see that?
Mm-hmm.
This is what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to go to, the best one I found is ancestry.com. You're going to go there and buy the DNA test. It's like less than $100. If you look online, you can find a coupon or something like that. I think you can get it for $69. And ancestry.com. And you're going to order their DNA test. They're going to send it to you in the mail. It's a little vial. And, ladies aren't supposed to spit, but you're going to spit in that vial. You're going to put that vial. It comes with everything. You put it in this little bag and seal it and put that in a bag and seal it. And that goes in a box and seal it. And you put that in a box. It's self-addressed, already stamped. Drop it in the mail. It takes about 6 weeks to get the results. But when you get the results and it says you're more than 1% Native American, you're in. It's just a matter of finding out which tribe you're from. In order to do that, while you're waiting for the results, you're going to want to reach out to your family, all your family and friends of your family, friends of your grandparents, great-grandparent, anybody who's still alive that remembers any stories about you being Native American. And you need to document those stories. You need to put them in writing. Then you're going to take that and your DNA test and your family tree, and you're going to figure out what state, what county, what city each of your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents were born in. And then we're going to try and guesstimate based on that what tribe you're from. And then we're going to take all that information and we're going to send it to that tribe and we're going to ask them to review it. And if you're at least 1% Native American from that tribe, most tribes will give you a tribal card and make you Native American with at least 1% DNA.
Oh.
Because the way they view it is that your Native American DNA is far more powerful than any other race. They view that 1% of that blood in your body is more powerful than the other 99% of the blood in your body. That's just their religion, how they look at it,
Well, I hope I'm not like that Irish guy on TV that thinks he's Irish and he's really Scottish.
Well, my dad always told us we were mutts, or he liked to call us the Heinz 57 because we had so many different, origins in our family tree. And so I did my DNA test thinking that I was like 20 or 30% Native American, and I was also told that we were part African American and all this and that. And I do the DNA test. Come to find out, I'm like 38% Irish. I did not know that.
Yeah, we're definitely. I've been told I'm Indian on both sides of my family, so we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely interested in doing that.
Well, once you have that tribal card, you're basically guaranteed an 8A as long as you fit the financial criteria. Which, actually, let me ask you real quick. This is something we need to focus on over the next year. Is your personal net worth, not including your house, but your personal net worth, cash, stocks, bonds, real estate, RVs, everything, is it under $250,000?
Absolutely.
Okay, keep it that way. When I say that,
Okay.
I mean, you win a $5 million contract next month. Don't go out and buy an RV. Don't go out and buy any toys. Put the money back into the business, at least for the first year. Okay. I know if you work hard, you deserve to play hard. I absolutely agree 100%. All work and no play makes John Wayne a dull boy. All right. But for the first year, you want to put that money back into the business and pay yourself as little as possible. You have to pay yourself at least $1 more than you pay your employees. You have to be the highest paid person. All
Okay.
right. If you have to buy an asset for the business, put it in the business name, make it a business asset, because your total assets, including the business assets, can be up to $4 million.
Okay.
All right. Um, you want to put the money back into the business. If you earn 100,000 this year and you spend 95 of it, or you pay yourself 90, that's considered a risk. The SBA is not going to deal with. So just put the money back in the business, pay yourself as little as possible, but at least $1 more than you pay anybody else. You haven't made
Okay.
more than 250,000 for the last 3 years, average per year?
Average per year?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I made 220,000 it'll be almost 4 years ago.
Okay. Good.
In that year, but the other years I made like 60, and it's gradually been going down. This is a big reason why I wanted to start this business, was because, being with someone who's military, or being, kind of in that situation where he's going to retire. Before that, it was he's military.
Right.
They don't understand moving around basically tanks your business every time. And I was doing really, really well. I mean, I was selling 100 homes a year, but then we moved again. And I had all of a sudden had no income again. So now I want a business that I can take with me. I work as hard as anyone. I was working 16, 18-hour days, but in the end, like when we had to move, I lost all of my, contacts and all of, my work, basically. So I don't want that to happen again.
Okay. Well, over the next year, because you got to be in business at least 1 year to process an 8A. Yet you're supposed to have 2 tax returns to get in the 8A program, but it takes a year to process. So we can start processing this after year 1. After you have your tax return next year, we can start. What you need to focus on over the next year is winning as many contracts as possible from different clients. You have to have a balanced portfolio. You got to have at least, the SBA says at least 2 clients, but I say we need 4 or 5 different clients. That way, if you lose one, you're not losing half your business. So we need to focus on winning as many contracts over the next 12 months, all right?
Okay.
And the other thing you need to do is stay out of trouble, all right? You got a clean rap sheet?
Yeah.
Okay, keep it that way. You'd be amazed. I've had people, I had one couple, they were almost in the 8A program, and they got into a fight, and the neighbors called the police, and when the police got there, she didn't want to slow down, and they arrested her, and they can't qualify for the 8A now. They screwed the pooch on that one. 8A is a 9-year program, and if you do it right, in 9 years, you can sell the business and retire. But
Right.
they messed it up, So stay out of trouble. Not that you're going to go out and look for trouble, but DUIs, domestic violence, shoplifting, any of that stuff. If it's a felony, it can get you kicked out or prevent you from getting in the 8A.
Okay.
If you have any unpaid federal obligations, student loans, bank notes, you need to get into an agreement and start paying it back.
Okay.
Right? Other than that, we just got to show that you're financially stable. So that's going to be the goal over the next year. Now,
Okay.
this is what I can do for you. The fact that you're willing to broker, no brainer, I'll take you on as a client. If you were a Caucasian male that had a landscaping business and you called me up and you're not HubZone, you can't get an 8A, you got no set-asides, I would probably tell you this isn't for you because, you don't have any set-asides. The Caucasian males are getting the short end of the deal right now. But the fact that you're willing to broker, the likelihood of you being successful, being that you're willing to broker, is huge. It's almost impossible not to be successful if you're willing to broker. So right now, my client success ratio is almost 90%. So I'm very particular about who I take on as a client because I don't want to take on people that are not going to be successful or they're not going to try. So all I'm going to ask of you, I'm going to teach you everything I know. I'm going to help you write your elevator pitch. We're going to build your cap statement for you. We're going to build a website and put all your information online that purchasing agents can view it and it works through their firewalls. I'm going to make it so that you automatically get the opportunities to bid on. You won't have to go out and look for them. They'll come to your email every day. I'm going to teach you what to say and how to say it when you call these guys. I'm going to teach you how to bid. I'm going to teach you how to submit the forms properly. But I can't submit bids for you. I need your word that you're going to actually work this. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. You're not going to get registered and money's going to fall in your lap. You have to make bids. You have to put bids in and submit them. And you have to pick up the phone, even if it's just an hour a week, and call these primes and introduce yourself and get in front of them. Call these purchasing agents, introduce yourself, get in front of them. If you promise me that you're going to invest the time to pick up the phone and make the calls and that you're going to invest the time to submit bids, I will take you on as a client.
Absolutely. I would love to know about how to get in front of the purchasing agents and how to kind of, I assume you would teach me how to broker, how that even works. I mean, I know how it works doing third-party logistics, like that's what I did as the account manager.
Right.
I assume it's similar, but I want to make sure that I have that kind of, that I'm not stepping on any, making any wrong moves or anything. I know my laws when it comes to logistics, but is it the same in government contracting? Like how does that work?
It's a lot easier than freight logistics. Freight logistics is pretty complicated because you're moving stuff across state lines. Each state has their own rules. If you're moving stuff in or out of the country, you got rules to the foreign country and you got rules to this country. Logistics with the federal government, freight logistics is highly competitive too. But being that you're willing to broker and sell anything you can get your hands on, it's a no-brainer. The only reason why 10% of my clients are not successful, because I got 90% success ratio, so obviously 10% of them are not successful. The only reason is because a lot of times they've got one bid that they want to do, like chucking a truck. I got a client who called me up and he said, listen, I want to bid on this contract. This guy, his business is called Chucking a Truck, and the guy literally has a bunch of old beat-up lawnmowers. How in the world did he win this government contract last year? But he says, I want this contract. He's got no business doing it. I want it. I want to bid on it. He bid on it, and he didn't win it, and he got frustrated that Chucking a Truck still has the contract. He won't try anymore. He won't try and bid on anything else now. So he's already destined to not be successful. He set himself up for failure by only bidding on one contract and then giving up.
Yeah. My other question is, so for example, if like the other day I saw there was a contract for just like a stand-up desk, right? A stand-sit desk. That was strictly what it was. Okay. So when you do something like that, how does that work? You just basically bid, and then if they hire you or you win the contract, then you just order the desk for them, have it sent to them? Like, how does that work? Is it simple as that?
Pretty much simple as that. And a lot of the bids are very, very simple. They're nowhere near as complicated as state and local government bids are ridiculous. Federal bids are really simple these days because they're trying to guarantee 23% of the budget to small businesses,
Right.
So you've got simplified acquisitions. They tend to prepay a deposit or half or sometimes the entire amount up front. Most bid contracts, they're not going to prepay. So you're either going to have to come up with the money to buy the product, pay the supplier, and then have them ship it directly to the government. And then the government will pay you within 15 to 30 days. Once you do one deal with a supplier and they know they can trust you, they'll tend to give you terms immediately. You buy one desk from them and have it shipped to the government and they get paid, they're going to give you net 30, net 60 because they want you to come back to them and not to someone else. So they'll typically give you terms once you do business with them once. If the contract is large enough, there are companies that will finance it in a heartbeat, no questions asked, because they can put an surety bond on it. They're guaranteed to be paid. But they don't want to touch contracts under $50,000 because they don't make enough money.
Yeah.
So if you got, contracts 200,000 or 300,000, yeah, they'll finance it all day. You can also apply for financing with us. And if you qualify for financing with us, you can get a credit limit with us and you can use that. So the main thing is to either focus on doing subcontract work where they prepay or simplified acquisitions, or just do contracts that you have the resources for, or do contracts that are large enough you can get them financed.
Right.
And some of these suppliers will give you terms up front if you have really good credit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another solution. If you got really good credit, you can apply for terms, and some of them will give you terms up front, and then you ain't got to worry about nothing.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Okay.
Now, this is what I can do for you. I get referrals from the government all the time. We get people that they're already working with the government, and the government will say, listen, I need you to get set up for simplified acquisitions. If you do that, I can do larger, longer term contracts with you. And some of these guys will go out and try it on their own first and fail and then come to us. Some of them just come to us immediately. And sometimes they'll go back to the purchasing officer and say, hey, I don't have time to do this. Is there anyone I can pay to do it? And the government will actually refer them to us. When that happens, they go to the website and they sign up online, and they don't think twice. They don't even ask a question. They pay $5,000, they get signed up. What I can do for you is I can use vouchers from the NBCC convention, and I can actually bring that down to $29.50. So I can knock $2,000 off the price right off the bat. I can also, what am I doing here? I can also give you the group training, 1 year of group training. So you'll have access to me every day from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern time. The group training is a lot of my videos where you hear people talking. That's actually the group training, but I recorded it. So I'm available every day from Monday through Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern. I make sure, because if my clients need me, I want to make sure they have access to me every day regardless. It's a group session, so there'll be other people in there talking. So I'm also going to give you personal one-on-one training in case you got something you want to discuss that you don't want to talk about in the group setting. I'm going to give you 5 hours of personal one-on-one as well. That service right there between the two, that's over $3,000 in services. I'm also going to give you AFPDS, which I haven't even told you about. That's normally $2,000. AFPDS is our version of FBO. So FBO, you get opportunities to bid on, but it doesn't give you any other information about the contract. Our system, AFPDS, gives you the opportunities to bid on just like FBO does, but it also gives you a split screen, and it shows you who did this last year and how much they were paid. Shows you who did it the year before that and how much they were. It gives you the history of the contract, who did it and how much they were paid every year. So it takes the guesswork out of, well, how much can I charge for this? How much markup can I do on this? You'll know because you'll see who did it last year and how much they were paid. I'm also going to have them register you in SAM, which is the basic registration with the government, and then we'll get you set up for simplified acquisitions, which includes all the rest of this stuff. They're going to register you with FEMA, SAM, do all your codes, NACs, PSCs, FSCs, cage code, MPIN, your IRS consent validation, register you in the DSBS, which is where they fine you for the no bids, set up your FBO account, build your capability statement, put that on the website. This program includes a free website. And then they're going to run a report and give you the names and phone numbers of the purchasing officers and prime vendors that you can call and reach out to. I'm going to teach you how to search these on your own as well, because I like that old proverb. You give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish, feed him for life.
That's right.
I'm going to teach you how to search these on your own as well. And then the SAP program is normally $49.95. I'm giving you a $2,000 discount on it, so you're getting $10,000 worth of services for $29.50. And you can actually start bidding immediately because most bids aren't due for 2 to 3 weeks. And by that time, you're going to be fully compliant anyway.
Okay.
When did you want to get started?
How long does all of this take to set up?
It takes a week or two to set all this up. But like I said, you could start bidding today because most stuff you're going to find today to bid on is not going to be due for 2 to 3 weeks down the road. And by then, you'll be fully compliant.
Okay. I'm going to have to talk to my partner about it because it's a lot of money that we're going to have to come up with. So I'll discuss it with him tonight and see how we can move forward. I like everything. I like the mentorship. I like this is what I'm looking for. So we'll make it happen.
Right. I can check and see if you qualify for financing, if that will help.
Oh no, I just have to pull it from somewhere.
Okay, because we do in-house financing.
Oh, you do in-house. What's the? Well, I'm not going to qualify because I have horrible credit right now. I just had a divorce 3 years ago. I'm still recovering from that. So when you're talking about financing and stuff, I know I'm going to have to really put foot to ass in order for this to work because I'm not going to get the financing portion of it. Not on my own. He could, but not on my own.
What's your email? Let me email all this to you.
Sure. It's KJ. Forbes, F-O-R-B-E-S, like the magazine, work @gmail.com.
Like that, KJ Forbes works?
Work with no S @gmail.com.
Okay, there's the email. It's got everything in writing. And just send that, get that on the way. Did you have any other questions?
I don't think so. You pretty much answered everything, so we can hopefully get started soon. I will connect with you here in a day or so and try to, well, probably Monday, and see where we can from here, okay?
Sounds like a winner.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate your time.
You can thank me after you win your first contract. You know how to reach me. You're going to have access.
I'll definitely do that. You drink whiskey? I'll send you a bottle of whiskey.
Sure. Why not?
Irishmen like whiskey, right?
There you go. And I'm definitely Irish, so.
All right, sir. Well, you have a good weekend.
You too. Have a good weekend. I'll talk to you then.
Okay.
Bye.